madam. I do hope the garment gives every satisfaction.
And you really think that this type of corset will keep my figure under control?
Well, the stiffness of the best quality whalebone.
Yes, but will they be strong enough?
Well, they're strong enough for the whale. Where was I?
You and Mrs. Axelby was at the Palady dance.
Oh, yes. Well, I'd said, oh, don't let's bother dressing up. So we just wore our diamante cocktail frocks, you know, the short ones, because we've both got very good legs.
Oh. Did you wear your stiletto heels?
Well, I did. They do wonders for your ankles. But Mrs. Axelby wore her open-toed sandals because her bunion was playing up again.
She's still playing football, is she?
Oh, no. She gave that up when they put her in goal. Any road, when we got inside, they were the funniest-looking lot of fellas you've ever seen in your life. So after we'd looked them over for about an hour, I said, I don't care if anybody does ask me to dance, I'm not going to.
Oh, I don't blame you.
So for the rest of the evening, we danced with each other.
Who led?
Oh, we took it in turns to stop people talking, you know. Anyway, at midnight, they played a Paul Jones. Well, Mrs. Axelby knows the band leader, you see, and she tipped him the wink. And would you believe it? Every time the music stopped, quelle surprise, we was opposite each other. Oh, we did laugh. Are you being served, madam?
There you are, sir. And don't worry if the nightshirt is too long. They do ride up with wear. Now, where was I?
You'd just seen John Curry on the television and decided to take up ice skating.
Oh, yes. So I took 6 lessons with this marvellous instructor. They're ever so good now, you know. They keep their arm round you and they hang on to you and they don't let you go until they're absolutely sure that you're developing on the right line.
Did you think you showed promise?
What makes you think it's a he? Anyway, she said some people are born with it and some people aren't.
Yeah. What did she say about you?
Well, she said I was definitely born with it. On the other hand, she did say I'd left it a bit late to give it a try.
Have you gone solo yet?
Yes, for the last time.
Why? What happened?
Well, I got carried away with the music, didn't I? There I was, happily skating to the strains of I Did It My Way, when the next thing I knew, I was unable to negotiate a turn. I found myself running backwards at 50 miles an hour across the coconut matting straight into the gentleman's changing room.
Did you hurt yourself?
Nothing that nature couldn't mend. I made a lot of new friends there.
Mr. Humphries, Mr. Lucas, you've done nothing but gossip all the morning. Kindly pay attention to customers.
I'm sorry, Mr. Grainger. Are you being
That's my customer. I saw him first. Are you being
What's the matter with
served,
him?
As from next Monday, it's bra week, and he's got to lose the centre stand to Mrs. Slocombe's underwear.
He ought to be put down, you know.
He's like a little old tin Hitler.
Still, as my mother always said, you know, life is like a game of chess. At the end of the day, the black pawn and the white queen both go in the same box.
That's something to look forward to.
And I've put the tights in here as well. And don't worry if the gusset hangs a little low. You'll find it will ride up with wear.
Yet another sale, Mrs. Slocombe?
Oh, yes, Miss Brahms and I do seem to have the golden touch this week.
I wish I could say the same for Mr. Grainger. He insists on taking every sale for himself, and more often than not fails to complete it.
Is that why he's been so bad-tempered?
That, plus the fact of your having your special undie drive next week.
Ooh, has he heard about us getting the centre stand?
He has indeed. And he has appealed over my head to Mr. Rumbold.
Fancy.
The cheek of it.
Don't worry, Mrs. Slocombe. Mr. Rumbold would not lightly overturn my ruling on the matter.
What does it feel like to have such power?
Frightening.
Rather nice to have. Oh, shall I change the central display unit over now, Captain Peacock?
Not yet, Mr. Harman.
Do you know how to set up the display unit, Captain Peacock?
Why do you ask?
Because in 5 minutes' time, you're going to have to do it. Because I've got tickets for Queen's Park Rangers.
I have to await the final decision of Mr. Rumbold.
Oh, that reminds me. Hey, give me this.
And the winner is...
Come with me, Mrs. Slocombe.
Can I come too?
What do you think, Captain Peacock?
In this case, it would be more tactful if the meeting was confined to the senior sales staff.
I'm sorry, Miss Brahms, not this time.
Where is Mr. Grainger?
He's looking for a 32-34 herringbone for a customer.
Well, where's the customer?
He left 5 minutes ago.
I think we'll find these a snug fit, sir. Where's he gone?
The complaints department.
People nowadays have no patience.
Are you free, Mr. Grainger?
No. I've got to take these fiddling trousers back to the fiddling room.
You're junior.
I'm not the junior. Mr. Lucas is the junior.
You're my junior, so you can damn well take them.
In that case, I shall pass them on to my junior.
As far as I'm concerned, you can throw them out of the window.
Oh, temper. Mr. Lucas, see to these.
Don't take it out on me!
And don't you answer me back or you'll get my dander up.
Would you come over here, Mr. Grainger?
Yes, Captain Peacock, what is it?
You saw fit to appeal against my ruling regarding the centre stand. I have here Mr. Rumbold's final decision on the matter.
Which is?
Appeal disallowed.
And then apparently he tore up my memo, threw it on the floor, and jumped on it.
Well, then, deal with it yourself, Mr. Rumbold. Jumping on pieces of paper doesn't sound very serious to me. You can't sack a man for that. Old men all get a bit short-tempered at times. I'm very busy. Go and boil your heads.
Peacock, yeah, you better all come in here, except for Mr. Grainger. But don't let him leave the store,
Mrs. Slocombe, Miss Brahms, Mr. Rumbold would like a word with us in his office. It's about, Mr. Lucas, Mr. Humphries.
Yes, Captain Peacock.
Mr. Rumbold would like a word with us in his office.
Oh, is it about,
Is it about,
Mr. Grainger, not you.
Not me, Captain Peacock.
Not you, Mr. Grainger.
Why not?
Because he does not wish to see you. He may, however, wish to see you later, so you will not leave the store.
I shall leave the store if I want to. But I don't want to.
Well, none of this comes as a surprise to me. Mr. Grainger is, after all, of advanced years.
And men do go off quicker than women.
it's become impossible to live with.
Yeah, he's been ever so crabby.
I don't want to say anything against him, but I think he's going soft in the head.
He should have retired some time ago. I mean, he went completely to pieces in the sale last week.
And it's his eyesight as well. He got his tape measure upside down the other day, measured a little Boy Scout for a pair of trousers and gave him a 38 inside leg.
Then he buttoned the waist over the little lad's head and said they'd ride up with where?
And what about the till? Do you know his hands shake so much it's like roulette? Only this afternoon he rang up no sale, £74. Now, what are accounts going to make of that?
Well, his earrings going as well. The other day somebody asked for the gents' cloaks, and he tried to sell him a top hat and cane to go with it.
Yes, but what are we going to do about it?
Well, I suppose so. We could do what they do with faithful old horses who could no longer pull their heavy load along life's highway.
You mean put them out to grass?
No, send them to the knacker's yard.
I think the general consensus of opinion is that he should go.
Yes, but how are we going to replace him? Mr. Humphries, have you got the confidence to step into his shoes?
Oh, I have the confidence.
And he has the experience too, haven't you, Mr. Humphries?
Doesn't it show in my face?
And could Mr. Lucas fill the gap left by Mr. Humphries?
I don't think he's ready for that yet. He needs somebody of a lot of experience to take over the middle position.
Oh, I agree.
What are you talking about? Alexander the Great was only my age when he died, and he was practically ruling the world.
Yes, but could he take an inside leg?
Well, he'll never go of his own free will. And there's no reasoning with him. I mean, look at the way he tore up your memo.
Mrs. Slocombe's right.
What a pitiful sight it's going to be, isn't it? Mr. Rumbold forcing him into the lift, pressing the down button, the doors closing for the last time on that tear-stained, wrinkled old face as it disappears forever into the bargain basement. Don't let him have my tape measure. Let me say farewell to my trousers.
Mr. Lucas, please. Quite right, Captain Peacock. He's not ready for promotion yet.
Will you tell Mr. Grainger, sir?
No. These forced retirements are very tricky things. It would be better coming from young Mr. Grace himself.
I think Mr. Rumbold's right.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Lucas.
Well, it's very difficult to tell somebody in their 70s they're too old. It softens a blow if it comes from somebody in their 80s.
Are they still in there?
Yeah, I did what you asked me to do. I stood outside the door and listened. Do you want to hear the good news or the bad news?
The good news?
Well, the good news is that I could hear every word they said.
The bad news?
Every word they said. They want to give you the bullet.
Do they? Were they all against me?
Oh, no, they all wanted to give you the sack except Mr. Lucas.
Dear boy.
Yeah, he wanted to send you to the knackers, you know.
Of course, I have been very crotchety lately, you know. But it was what with the sales, and Mrs. Grainger hasn't been well. You know, she was terribly upset when Mrs. Dale's diary stopped. You know.
But that went off the air 20 years ago.
Yes, but she does miss it. Of course, that's no excuse for me behaving the way I did.
Nah. If I was you, I'd choose the honourable way out.
What do you mean, suicide?
Resign. Listen, get in first before they give you your cards. Go on.
Yes, you're probably right.
Yeah, well, I'll be off then. You'll be all right, won't you?
Yes, I shan't be long.
You'll keep in touch with us all.
Oh, yes, I will. And thank you very much, Mr. Harman. You've been very kind to me. Dear Mr. Grace, I, Ernest Grainger, being of sound mind, having given the best years of my life to your store, regretfully...
Oh, well, here we go again. Another week of magic at Grace Brothers.
Just get these covers off Alexander the Great.
You stepped into Mr. Grainger's shoes already?
He's obviously not coming in. I mean, when anybody leaves a rolled-up tape measure and a letter addressed to Mr. Grace, it can only mean one thing. He's resigned.
After the night of the long knives.
We were only doing our duty. When questioned, I answered nothing but the truth, as my mother always taught me to do.
Well, he brought it all on himself. He was thoroughly obstropulous to me last week.
You can't help feeling sorry for him, can you?
Well, there's no need to. He's made his own bed, he must lie in it.
Yeah, next to Mrs. Grainger. Whilst he's lying there, he can explain to her that they'll probably spend the rest of their lives in bed together on account of the fact he can't afford the central heating on his old age pension.
You was the one who wanted him knackered.
I don't think we need to reproach ourselves. After all, the decisions are not in our hands. We do not employ Mr. Grainger. We do not sack Mr. Grainger. Mr. Grace does.
Yeah, but he'll still blame us, won't he?
Of course he will. He'll come in here and he'll take it out on all of us for the next 2 weeks while he's working out his notice.
Are we going to buy him a farewell present?
Not unless he apologises.
Oh, I don't think there's much chance of that. I understand that Mr. Harman reported our discussion to him word for word.
He didn't.
How could he do a thing like that behind our backs?
Deceit, thy name is man.
Hey, that's the lift. That could be him.
Oh, what should we do?
Nothing. He's started it. It's up to him to make the first move.
Good morning, everybody. I really must apologise for being late.
I will take note of your apology, Mr. Grainger.
May I have a word with you, Mrs. Slocombe?
Don't start. Don't you start. Miss Brahms, get behind me. Captain Peacock, I want you to listen to every word that's said.
Oh, well, in that case, I suppose I'd better say it to everybody. I'm very sorry that I was so rude and unpleasant to you all. It was very wrong of me indeed. Will you forgive me, Mrs. Slocombe?
Of course.
Miss Brahms, Mr. Lucas, Mr. Humphries, my dear colleagues. Stephen, what can I say?
Oh, it's too much. I'm all over.
I'm just going to take off my coat.
Well, I'll go to the foot of our stairs. What was all that about?
Oh, I feel awful.
Our colleague has just uttered the most difficult phrase in the English language. I'm sorry.
Well, it was his fault.
That's what makes it so difficult.
You know, it's the sort of thing that saints do. I wonder if he's had some spiritual awakening. You know, it's the sort of thing that happened to St. Joan when those soldiers lit them faggots under her feet.
That was enough to make anybody sit up and take notes.
I expect you're wondering what's made this complete change in my attitude.
Well, we were discussing it, Ernest, yes.
Were you very moved, Mr. Grainger? Did you have a deep religious experience?
No, I won the pools. I did a perm on the treble chance and I got 8 draws. I wasn't going to tell you, but I just couldn't keep it from you any longer. Look.
How much have you won?
Well, there were only 10 on the coupon this week. It could be worth a fortune. Here, they give a forecast. Here we are. 23 points and over, claimed by phone or telegram. Have you claimed?
No.
He hasn't. Get on to them.
I won a first dividend once before, you know. That was in 1936. Yes, I got £22.15 and sixpence. I think it might be as much as £50 now.
You're a bit behind the times there, Mr. Grainger. Last week there were only 9 draws and somebody won £500,000.
£500,000?
Glass of water for Mr. Grainger.
How much do you suppose Mr. Grainger's won?
Well, there's every chance that dear old Ernest has won something in the region of £500,000.
Oh, what a stroke of luck. And just when he'd lost his job.
Yes, well, that's the point, sir. He omitted to put an X in the little box that says no publicity.
Good Lord.
We shall be besieged by the press. There'll be pictures of him shaking hands with Bruce Forsyth.
Oh, well, he'll probably enjoy it.
Will you enjoy it when the fact comes to light that you hounded an elderly man into handing in his resignation?
I didn't do it. You placed the facts before me.
And you said he had to go.
Nobody knows that.
I do.
We'd better get that letter of resignation back.
I thought you might come to that conclusion.
Oh, well, leave it to me, Peacock.
I was going to, sir.
And don't worry if the hat keeps falling over your eyes, sir. It'll ride up with wear.
How long does it take them to phone back?
Well, the fellow from the pool said any time between now and 5 o'clock.
My nerves are in shreds. Look at my hands.
That one's shaking more than that one.
Well, I'm right-handed, aren't I? Control yourself, this is a crisis. Menswear. It's the pool's firm. I'm afraid Mr. Grainger's off the floor at the moment. Yeah. Just tell us how much. I see. Thank you.
Well?
Well, he did an up and down, 8 by 12, any 4 from 9, double V plan.
But did he get 8 drawers?
Well, not all in one column. It's a pity, really, because the first prize this week is £400,000.
Well, did he get the second? A third? A fourth?
Is there a fifth? Did he get it? Didn't he get nothing? It'll be the finish of him.
Oh, when he thought he won, he went all lovely.
Who's going to tell him?
Well, Bag's not me.
Bags don't count. I've got my fingers crossed.
Well, we better be careful. If you blurt it out, he'll keel over.
I think you ought to tell him, Mr. Humphries. You've got a more delicate touch.
Not in a case like this.
I move that Mr. Humphries tells him. Carried unanimous.
Well, thank you very much for your democratic vote of confidence.
Well, you should worry. Look at poor old Grainger. He's lost his job and 400,000 quid all in 1 week.
Yeah, poor old devil.
All he wanted was 50 quid and he didn't even win that.
Thank goodness he hasn't had time to spend it.
I'm sorry I've been such a long time off the floor. I brought you all a little present.
Oh, you shouldn't.
No, you certainly shouldn't.
They're only little things, but they're to make up for all my beastliness. Yeah, I think my heart is going. It is very exciting, isn't it? Have they phoned up yet?
Yeah, no, I haven't answered the phone. Have you answered the phone, Mr. Humphries?
I have nothing to pass on.
Now, Mrs. Slocombe, that is for you. Miss Brown, you grow prettier every day. Now, Mr. Lucas, you young rascal, that's for you. And Mr. Harman, this is for you for all the great kindness that you've always shown to me. Now, this is Captain Peacock. I bought him a silver holder for his carnation. Where is he?
He's in Mr. Rumbold's office.
Oh, I think it.
You let him get away.
I was going to tell him. As sure as I'm standing here, I was going to tell him.
Oh, look. It's a diamantic collar for me pussy.
He must have cost at least 8 quid.
This is a battery shaver.
And a blow dryer with 3 speeds.
Don't use the fast one, you'll blow it away.
Do you realise he spent about 50 quid?
We'll have to give him back.
Well, we can't do that, can we? That's no good. I mean, they don't give you money back here, they just give you a credit note.
Well, look, we've all got something that we want. Let's just give him the money for it.
Oh, he wouldn't take it. He's got so much pride. He's such a fine man.
I'll tell you what. We'll tell him that the Pools firm rang up, but his drawers were in the wrong place. And he's won 50 quid.
Where are we going to get 50 quid from?
Well, we'll have to have a whip round.
Yeah, but the money's got to come from Liverpool.
We'll get our Liverpool branch to send him a postal order. He won't know the difference.
Well, for heaven's sake, go and tell him quick before he buys a yacht.
Hey, listen, tell him as he comes out of Rumbold's office, there's a sofa outside, he can collapse into that.
The first aid man standing by. At his age, anything can happen.
Thank you once again for the silver spoon, Mr. Grainger. I shall look forward to stirring my morning coffee with it.
Well, they were just little things to remember me by when I'm no longer working.
We were rather hoping to persuade you to stay on.
Yes. Well, now I've sent my letter to young Mr. Grace, I think I'd better go. Yes. And Mrs. Grainger fancies a world cruise.
An irreplaceable colleague.
Yes, indeed. One of nature's gentlemen.
I nicked old Grainger's letter off of Grace's desk just as his bony hand was reaching for the paper knife.
Well done, well done. Now, you tell Mr. Grainger that Mr. Grace refuses to accept his resignation and hopes that he'll stay with us for many years to come. And then, when he wants to leave in a few weeks' time, we'll give him a big send-off and get the right sort of publicity.
How do you know that he will want to leave?
Well, it stands to reason, doesn't it? No one watched this one $500,000 nicker will want to stay around this time.
I wonder if Mr. Humphries has told him yet.
Oh, sooner him than me. Look.
Oh.
I knew it'd be too much for him.
As soon as I got the words out, the blood drained away from me.
Is he all right? Oh, there you are. He's had a terrible shock, you know. I only won £50, did you know?
Oh, what a disappointment.
Well, I must say, I would have liked to have had a few £1,000, especially as I'm not going to be working anymore.
I've got good news for you, Ernest. Mr. Grace wouldn't hear of your resigning. He even refused to open your letter. What's more, he hopes you'll stay on as long as you like.
You really are all being very, very kind. I was very naughty, you know, very naughty. But I got into this terrible mood, and I just couldn't get out of it.
Oh, well, you're better now.
Yes, oh yes, I feel that as though I've been reborn, you know. You wait till you hear my letter. Now, dear Mr. Grace, I, Ernest Grainger, being of sound mind, that wasn't true for a start, having given the best years of my life to your store, regretfully have to tell you that you're a miserable old boot. Wait, it gets funnier. Captain Peacock's nothing but a nitpicking old busybody. And Mrs. Slocombe is a frustrated old cow. And as for Mr. Humphries, oh dear, I did go too far.